Good afternoon and welcome to our regular council meeting for June 16th, 2025. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories and the oral practices of the Blackfoot Nation, which include the Siksika, the Kainai, and the Piikani. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation District 4, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. We're making this acknowledgement to demonstrate our continuing efforts to work together as we strive for reconciliation through increased and collective learning. Good afternoon, everyone. We have a staff introduction. Human Resources Manager Zamil.
Through the chair to the mayor and council, I would like to introduce our new HR advisor, Jan Brian Pangilinan. Brian is a recent graduate from the Mount Royal University. He has co-op experience as People and Culture Coordinator at Microserve. We look forward to his valuable contribution to the HR team. Welcome, Brian.
Welcome, Brian, and I know you have a Brooks connection there, which is very good there too. So yeah, welcome back to Brooks, or I'm glad you're here, still here. Okay, we got a staff recognition here. Interim CEO Doug Lagore for this one here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to recognize Shireen Zamil, our Director of Human Resources. She received her Charter Professional in Human Resources in November of 2024, and she received her Registered Professional Recruiter designation in January of 2025. Congratulations, Shireen. I just wanted to recognize you for that. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, good for you. And good for the City of Brooks and for everybody, yeah. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Got an agenda in front of you. Any items to be added or deleted? No. Need approval to move the agenda here. Moved by Councillor Idris that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. Got the minutes from the regular council meeting June 3rd, 2025. I got a motion here by Councillor Nesbitt that the minutes from the regular council meeting held June 3rd, 2025 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. Need a motion here that the 2025 RCMP report be accepted as information, moved by Councillor Wardrop. And we have Staff Sergeant Harms. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am good. I hope everyone else is doing good today. It's a nice, bright, sunny day. So thanks for having me here again. And I will speak to our May report to council, which you should have before you. So the report does contain statistics, mostly from May, although there's a couple things on there that are outside the month of May, but I'll touch on that. Brooks Detachment members responded to a total of 458 municipal calls. A total of 26 prisoners were lodged. There was 154 criminal record checks completed, and 51 violation tickets were issued by the Brooks officers during May. Just want to touch on a few significant events or recent events. The first one, the reason I threw it in there was actually could have been a lot more serious if not handled properly. On May 12, 2025 at 10:30 p.m., 2 RCMP officers attended a residence in Greenbrook Mobile Village to investigate concerns of a child's welfare. Officers were greeted by a knife-wielding suspect. De-escalation techniques were used, and eventually that suspect dropped the knife. However, during the arrest, the suspect assaulted the 2 officers. No injuries occurred to the officers or the suspect, and that suspect was taken safely into custody. Multiple charges were laid on a 36-year-old male, which included assault on police officers ×2, resisting arrest, assault with weapon, and possession of a weapon. The suspect was brought before a justice of the peace and was remanded. A quick point on this one. Hats off to the officers involved. This could have had a very different outcome, and like I say, some different techniques were used, and because of that, there was no injuries, and the suspect was taken into custody. So I'm very proud of the officers for that. Second incident we're highlighting is one that I think is fairly well known in the city because of some media releases. May 18th at 6:45 a.m., a female victim reported that she was approached by a male suspect unknown to her in the area of Pleasant Park Road. The suspect requested a ride to a local gas station, and during the conversation, that suspect sexually assaulted the victim. The victim got into her vehicle and left the scene, later reporting the incident to the RCMP. She was not injured. No doubt a serious incident. We engaged several officers from the Brooks Detachment on this, including general duty officers and general investigation section officers. A suspect sketch was done and released to the public, and the matter remains under investigation with no arrests to date. Just a couple things on this. This investigation is still very much alive, and we'll hope for the best and the best outcome on that. By no means is it closed. Another thing that we kind of flushed out of it is it appears to be an isolated matter, and what I mean by that, and I'm using those words with caution, what I mean by that is we've had no other reports similar in nature anywhere in the city that would suggest that this has been done more than once, sort of thing. And we actually believe it was a crime of opportunity, so to speak, if that makes sense. But just wanted to point those couple things out. Again, that investigation is still very much alive. Point 3, assault causing bodily harm. On April 12th at 3:19 in the morning, Brooks RCMP responded to a 911 call reporting an assault in progress outside a bar in Brooks. Again, this was back in April. Officers did find a male lying on the ground with some injuries. That male was taken to the hospital. There was an investigation that occurred, and I'm happy to report that 2 adult males have actually been identified and charged with assault causing bodily harm. So those matters are now before the court. Fourth incident we're highlighting, assault with a weapon and threats on June 8th at 4:40 p.m. We responded to a complaint at the JBS Center of a male youth with a knife and threatening another youth. Investigation revealed that a fight had occurred earlier, and one male returned to the establishment with a knife and uttered some threats. As a result of that, a 14-year-old male was charged with assault with a weapon. Again, appears to be isolated and kind of not a random thing. The 2 individuals seem to know each other. Point number 5, if you recall on my last briefing last month, I talked about stolen vehicles. Stolen vehicles continue in and around Brooks, and I just highlighted the 4 that occurred in May. On May 5th, there was a orange Kia Rio car that was stolen from the Pizza Hut in town here. Noteworthy is the keys were within that vehicle. That vehicle was later recovered near Gleason. Siksika police officers actually stopped the vehicle, and we took 4 people into custody. May 11th, 8:10 in the morning, a blue Chevy pickup truck was discovered stolen from Castles Road. The keys were not left in that vehicle. To date, that vehicle is not located, and there's been no arrests. May 20th, at approximately 7:01, a red Pontiac Grand Am was stolen from a residence in Queensway. We believe the keys were in that vehicle. On May 29th, there was another vehicle stolen. It was a green Chevy pickup truck from a hotel. Vehicle and suspect were stopped near the Picani Nation, and one suspect was taken into custody and charged. So just wanted to point out, when we talk about trends and things, just some details on what those trends look like. Aside from the incidents I'm pointing out, I did want to talk about a couple other things, and I got those under the section called Other Messaging, and really all of that can fall under the title of crime reduction strategies. The first thing, like we did last month, we're asking the public to be mindful that there is vehicle thefts. Make sure you secure your vehicles, make sure you lock them, make sure you remove the keys. The second thing I want to talk about is liquor establishment concerns. There's one establishment where there was some concerns about violations with their liquor license and some of the provincial laws. And we work closely with AGLC, as we did with the city on that matter. And as a result, there were sanctions and strict conditions put in place recently, resulting in key steps towards a safe and proper operation of that establishment. We'll continue to monitor that establishment and, of course, all others. The last point, again, regarding crime reduction, when I talk about the crimes, including the ones I've highlighted today, the one thing I want everyone in this room to know, and the viewers as well, we don't just simply respond to the crimes and try and solve and move on. We always look for strategies to reduce crime and to prevent reoccurrence. And I want everybody in this room to take comfort that we do that regularly, and I think we don't highlight that enough. But when we talk about vehicle thefts, because it is an ongoing thing, we have 2 operations that are going right now, and I'm not going to disclose the details of those because they are ongoing, but I want you to take comfort that we do implement strategies to try and deal with that. One thing regarding vehicle thefts, we're looking at revitalizing a communication system that was put in place a while ago and seems to have fallen by the wayside, but it's called Rave Alerts, where we can send out alerts about stolen vehicles, to the public and kind of have more eyes out there to keep an eye out for it. Again, that's called the Rave system, and I was happily surprised to see that over 800 people in and around the city have actually signed up to receive those. So we're going to revitalize that and try and get some word out to people when things like vehicle thefts do happen. You may have heard about the pivot thefts that are happening in the rural area, and granted that is the rural area, but we know some rural landowners also live in the city. There was copper wire being stolen off of pivots, and as a result of that, we actually discovered a detection device. It involves apps and notification of thefts real time, and we actually tasked ourselves with getting word out through various ways to landowners about this app and encouraging them to use that. So again, another example of a crime reduction strategy. With frauds are always ongoing. Again, I want everyone in the room to take comfort. We're doing presentations to targeted groups, in hopes of increasing that awareness and them avoiding frauds. And we're also looking at a new awareness campaign that will involve vendors and stores that have gift card racks, and there'll be more information to come on that. I didn't go into a whole lot of detail with those strategies, but again, the big message there is I want everybody in this room and all the viewers to know that we're definitely working on strategies, to address the current trends that happen within the city and the surrounding areas. Aside from that, I know that was a mouthful and I went pretty quick. That's all I have on my agenda. Is there any questions about anything that I brought up?
I just want to put, thanks for what you're doing with frauds. I consider that, I think people have been frauded all their lives, whatever, but I think with social media and with the internet and things like that, or even the cell phones, people are more susceptible to it, and they're very good at what they do. So thanks for doing that. I'm still surprised at the theft of motor vehicles, because in your report there you said that in a lot of cases the keys are still left in there, and that's something maybe we used to do 20, 30 years ago, even if we went into 7-Eleven, left it running, went in, got something, especially in the wintertime, but these are happening in the spring when it's warm.
That's right.
So that's, yeah. So thanks for your work on that. On the other end, when I look at the stats here, total criminal offenses down 10%. I'll take the good news there, whatever. Theft under 5,000 down 11%. The break and enters, no change from the month before, and the theft of motor vehicles is up there too. So some positive things in the report there, and I'll leave it open to anybody else who has any questions. Anybody else? Okay. Good. Okay. Perfect. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Okay. To the motion, all those in favor of accepting the RCMP report as information? Passed. Okay. I need a motion here that the Brooks Health Foundation update be accepted as information. Need a mover for that motion. Councillor Goodenough. And Diane DeClercq, if you want to come forward here, turn on the mic there. You're a familiar face. We saw you at Joint Services last week, but it's always nice to see you there.
Thank you. And we've got Shauna James here. She's our administrator with the Health Foundation.
And thanks for bringing Shauna along too. Yeah.
She's my support team.
Yeah. It's always nice to see you too, Shauna. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. We'd like to thank the City Council for giving us the opportunity to present today. We just want to give you an update on what's happening at the Health Foundation. Our 24-25 fiscal year, which ends March, was very successful. I'd like to highlight the charitable donations were up considerably. Foundation was the beneficiary of a number of estates last year, along with receiving significant donations in memory of key community members that have passed. And we work with those families to collaborate on ideas of where those proceeds can be invested in memory and leave a legacy for their loved ones. Community business partnerships that we're working on, strong support from local organizations and businesses continue. We couldn't do what we do without that support. We continue to reach out to our various businesses and other partners to invest in enhancing local health care. I don't know if we would maybe just give you a quick overview too of the role of the Health Foundation. So our main goal is fundraising and financial support to enhance local health care, and that's done through donations, fundraisers, and that kind of thing. And then we have community engagement. We act as a bridge between the community and the healthcare system, and promote awareness for local healthcare needs and services, and encourage the community to get involved either by volunteering or donations. We support initiatives at the hospital. Currently, we working on ways to support our healthcare professionals, like our current project being the Sim Lab, and we're very proud of that. That project's been approved. We're working on that. And then we are the donor stewards to the donated dollar. So we represent the donors and ensure that the money is going to greatest needs in our community at the hospital. And then we're also an advocacy group to a certain degree in getting things addressed that need to be addressed in partnership with our healthcare professionals at the hospital. We're working on attraction and retention, came up as a concern at the hospital, and we are working, thank you Lisa Tiffin and Alicia Fox with RPAP. We've spearheaded a group to see where the gaps are and how we can support our doctors in getting new candidates and getting them to stay here in our community and help us. We are on the brink of a potential shortage of physicians over the next couple of years, so it's a very important initiative that we all work towards and get whatever we can do to assist in that respect. So there'll be more information to follow on that as well. We met earlier today, and there's just a few things we're working through. Then other things that we've got going on, projects. We continue to support equipment and program supports. Recent purchases of equipment were eSIM mannequins, bassinets, accessible tables, translator devices. We've got 3 of those that have been very well received by our community. We're sharing that information with other organizations in the community as well, because there's definitely a need in our community because of our very diverse community population. So capital projects we're working on. Very proud to say that we committed $260,000 to the eSIM lab, or to the Sim Lab. So basically, if you picture a airplane simulator, it's the same idea, but doctors get to play with mannequins in controlled environments. It's a real good initiative, because taking time away from their job to go elsewhere to get trained when we are critically short doctors is detrimental to our community's need. So they can train all of the frontline work, or everybody can be working on these, and they have, through the Alberta eSIM program, they have pre-programmed scenarios that they do, and they can run them with their teams. So being a first point of contact hospital they never know what's walking in that door. They have no idea. We do not have specialty departments. So this tool, this room, and to be able to give them the ability to train locally builds their confidence, especially with nursing staff, that may not be familiar with certain critical situations. So there's a lot of value, and the healthcare providers in our hospital are very excited about this. A number of the doctors have already got their training on how to run it, and they've already requesting some new scenarios that were kind of unique to our area so that they could see how they could better improve the situation the next time it happens. It's in a controlled environment, which is a benefit to everybody. So we continue to support mental health therapy, recreation therapy, and acute patient activities. So basically, there's ongoing programs, volunteer resources, that we donate dollars to have these groups in our community that require some extra assistance or group therapy, if you will, some resources so that they can go bowling and do various things like that, that go to the swimming pool, various things like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Our other project that we're proud to move on with is a palliative care room upgrade. So there's 3 palliative care rooms in Unit A, which is the to the left when you walk into the main reception desk. Acute care, thank you. And those rooms, there's 3 that are designated palliative if they're not used by acute. So it's kind of a priority system, but there's 3 of them that needed some upgrading. So we're doing one at a time so that as not to interrupt the day-to-day activity because the hospital is full, generally speaking, on an ongoing basis. We do have Unit B that had 9 additional beds. 14 total. 5 were community transition beds and 9 were subacute beds. Going back just to the sim lab, we're doing a Simply Together Gala at Castles Hall in the fall too, and that's sold out, and we have another $84,000 to raise. That's our goal on that one. Sorry, missed that one. So we're looking at potential partnership with Prairie Rose Hospice on those, upgrading those palliative rooms. So we're excited to see how that plays out. They've been formally requested, and we'll see how they come back as a community partner. The doctor's lounge and sleep rooms, we're currently upgrading the existing doctor's lounge, which actually had a library in it, and it's just down from emergency. We're going to convert that into a sleep room, and it has a little bit of a kitchenette and kind of a lounge area that they can hang out if there's some downtime, which they don't seem to get. And we're doing a little bit of a facelift to another existing sleep room that's on the other side of the hospital, but we're not doing a full-on upgrade because that room may be consumed by an OR upgrade that AHS is looking into. So those are being looked after. We're looking and we're exploring other long-term options for adding another sleep room back to the emergency room or doctor's lounge over there. We're looking at an option to add, so they have 2 sleep rooms in that area and they're close to emergency. And then we're looking into some other housing partnerships for interns, residents and various students that come to our community so that we can keep them comfortable while they're here and hopefully reel them in to stay. And then the family room or family meeting areas or family gathering rooms, we're working on upgrading those. There's one right by ER, and what used to be the chapel room is just going to be upgraded. Just make it more comforting for families in an emergency so they have some privacy in the event of an incident, and there's some space for them. So we're working on those. And we're working on upgrading our Wi-Fi because that has been a problem. We'll go with that. The one we have is currently outdated. So even the Alberta Health Services, AHS, Wi-Fi is causing issues in the emergency area. It's not strong enough. So, and that can be critical because the physicians and stuff use those phones. They use their phones and they use their iPads and stuff for looking stuff up for patient care. So we're currently working on that, and it's quite a logistical challenge, let's put it that way. Because there's there's IPC involved in it, and privacy and security and all kinds of things like that. So we have a meeting tomorrow with them, with the Alberta Health Services IT team, to see if we can resolve what they need. And then we have an IT partner that the Health Foundation uses, and he's got some really good solutions, but he can't price it without knowing the logistics on the other end. So there's a chance, once we get all of that resolved, we're going to look into who our provider is, whether it's Brooksnet or what other options we have. So we're going to look into that, and so we might come back and have a discussion with you guys over that. And the maternity clinic is an ongoing project. Funding was committed by Joint Services to continue that, and we are assessing other funding advocacy that we can do to get that funded for our community, as we're quite unique with our diverse population, and there's a critical need. The doctors are lobbying hard to keep that. It means the world to them to keep it. It's not a big cash earner for them, but it's a critical operation that gives any expectant mom security in delivery, and we really need to make sure that that stays. The foundation is also working on upgrading the emergency area for our 26-27 fiscal year, so we've initiated the discussion on that, and we'll see what they come back with. The AHS is going to put together a proposal, and then we'll see what the foundation can do and what other partners in our community will help us do, as well as the government. And just a quick overview, we have 76 beds at the hospital, 28 are acute care beds, 24 are long-term care beds. That includes our 9 community transition beds in Unit B. We have 9 subacute beds in Unit B, 10 emergency beds in the ER, 5 palliative beds. Oh, I got those mixed up, sorry. And then 3 labor and delivery suites. So we're proud to play a vital role in enhancing local health care, and we appreciate the support and the time to come in here and share with you guys what we are up to.
Good, thank you. Just, I'm kind of curious, with your internet, aren't you connected to SuperNet at the hospital there?
No, we are on so there's, AHS has their own system, and there's a guest system. And our guest system is Shaw.
Oh, okay, maybe
So-
SuperNet just goes to the schools then, or something, or?
It goes right to the curb.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not, we have to
Oh,
sign
okay,
up
no, I
for
just
it.
go, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think, well, you were at Joint Services last week, whatever, they talked about the importance of the maternity clinic, and I think most people on Joint Services understand, and we want to keep that, whatever, it's very important, especially in this community here, so that's good. Thanks for your support in that there too. And then the palliative care too, and I know Joint Services had a letter of endorsement to try to get permanent palliative care here in Brooks too, and I know that's a challenge here too.
Actually, that's permanent hospice care.
Oh, hospice care,
Yeah.
permanent hospice care, yeah.
There's a difference
Oh,
between,
okay.
but currently, rooms are used at the hospital for hospice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, Counselor, good enough.
I just want to echo your thoughts with the internet. I think that it would be a good priority for us as the city to be your provider. Obviously, I'm not Brooksnet, but we should be in agreement to work something out, and I'd get rid of Shaw tomorrow if I could.
yeah.
But
We're-
anyway.
Yeah, hopefully tomorrow.
I hate to
we-
hear your problems, but we have the solution.
Well, we
So-
have like the TVs, we provided all new TVs throughout the hospital for patient care, and that was in great part thanks to local donors, and specifically one family that donated a number of those TVs. And we have them, but we can't provide the service because the internet isn't strong enough, it's outdated. So, yeah, can't do the live stream or the streaming, so. And our IT guys got some really good solutions. It's just a challenge of getting everybody on the same page to get it done. So,
I think Councillor Goodenough has it at home. I have it at home with Brooksnet there too, and I think hopefully, as Councillor Goodenough says, it will be your solution here.
Yeah, well, that would be great. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Idris.
Just to clarify, because I think I misunderstood something here, the Alberta Health Internet is not Shaw. It's something else
No.
that you do not have control over.
No, it's
Yeah.
encrypted, so
Yeah.
it's secured for privacy reasons and stuff, so that is totally on AHS's plate. Who their provider is, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
so that is,
they're
that
also
is different
struggling,
than,
so.
that is different than what I think.
Yeah.
I think your suggestion is for the one that is having the
public.
issues. They can't do anything with, because that's Alberta Health.
Yeah, it would be for, let's say you take an iPad in there and then you could connect to their Wi-Fi and then you could watch TV from that or, yeah, for guests, yeah.
That's
Alberta
correct,
Health
yeah.
Services, yeah. what's
There's
that?
trouble with both.
Both,
But
okay, yeah.
AHS is addressing their side of it because that has nothing to do with the foundation. That is encrypted and have very high security, of course, because of all the privacy that's associated with that. And then there's a guest Wi-Fi that the foundation and a number of community partners put in there in the early 2000s. And now it is dated, and we're using Shaw as the internet provider, but it's just too slow for the site, so.
That's good enough?
I do believe most of your TVs are all smart TVs now.
Correct.
Like, it's updated, so we should be providing the fastest service that we can to our residents and guests that have to stay there for too long, so.
Okay.
Good
We
point.
appreciate that. We'll be back.
Yeah. Councillor Wardrobe.
Thanks. Thanks for your report. It's an impressive amount of work that you do. I remember hearing about the Sim Lab the last time, I think it was last year you came
Yeah.
and talked to us. So that's awesome to hear that it's working out so positively. I did have a question though about the sleeping rooms. So those were upgrades to current sleeping rooms, or was that like a?
So the doctor's lounge we currently have had a library in it and like basically a gathering room where they could relax and get away from the emergency, and a little bit of a kitchenette. So when they're in overnight or whatever, they can stay there, and there is a separate sleeping room. So what we're doing is the current doctor's lounge, we're changing the library portion of it, which is a fairly good sized room, into a bedroom and putting a door on it and stuff so that they can sleep there, which is closer to ER. And then the other sleeper room, which is down by the cafeteria, is going to be given a rough facelift and some new furnishings, because eventually it might get taken into OR space if AHS moves forward with that project.
It's never been done.
No,
Okay.
it's very dated.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'm sure that our doctors and other staff will really appreciate that. And that translates to patient care as well, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Do doctors currently sleep in the
Yes.
facility that we have? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a doctor on our board, and our support of what they're doing in our community, they recognize and are very excited. This gala that we're doing in September is not only to raise funds for the Sim Lab, it is also to celebrate healthcare providers in our community and recognize some of those people that have been there a very long time. We have one nurse who's 50 years, she's been a nurse at our Brooks Hospital.
Wow. That's
So
incredible.
we're recognizing long-term, and a couple, one of our board trustees that passed away will be recognized that night as well.
Okay.
So,
Good.
Thank you.
Councillor Jessica.
Thank you. So with the maternity program and everything, and the hospital has been doing some more involved or intrusive procedures here, they kind of got away from surgeries and things. Is that coming back, or?
there's surgery guests that we have. They come in for certain surgical
Yeah,
procedures.
so it's starting to happen again.
Yeah.
Is that the direction, are we going to move further in that direction, or are we limited by practical considerations?
Well, they were talking about an update to the OR, and we're not exactly sure where that is currently, so we need to revisit that and see where Alberta Health Services is on that. Our current management isn't up to speed as to what's going on, so we'll need to do some research to see where we're at on that. The ER initiative is something the foundation is taking lead on because we're concerned, if any of you have visited the ER, there's curtains between individuals. Everybody knows everybody in this town, so if you're getting exams that are maybe private, whoever's in the curtain next door might know what you're up there, what's going on. So we're looking at enhancing the privacy, enhancing the space for the staff to work, and bringing the doctors out of the back exit and into a more private space where they can do their work. Things like that. It just needs an upgrade. So.
Okay, anything else? Okay, well, thanks for your time this afternoon, and keep up the
Thank you.
good work.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, to the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we got correspondence and information, updates on council conferences and workshops, and notes from council committee, May 27, 2025. Need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Nesbitt moves that the following items of correspondence be received as information, council conferences and workshops. I'll start off there was a few of us councillors at FCM in Ottawa there, and this conference takes in elected officials from cities, towns, villages, counties, from all across Canada. So it's a great way to connect with people right across this country, and it's amazing no matter where you are, it seems to be that we all have a lot of the same problems. A major topic at this conference, though, was, of course, the tariffs and Trump. There was a panel from mayors from border cities in Canada and the United States, and both talked about how each of them, how the tariffs are having an impact on both sides of the border. So it's just not on one side, it's on both sides of the border. A lot of talk on housing, infrastructure costs, the cost of living, national unity. Speaking at the conference was Prime Minister Carney. Melissa Lantsman spoke for the Conservatives, Gord Johns for the NDP, Elizabeth May for the Greens. All seem to understand the challenges of municipalities. The trick is how to come up with solutions to solve the problem, which is a bigger challenge. It was also nice, they talk more on the rural component of municipalities, and I think that's so important because a lot of times the rural communities get overrun by the major cities, whether it be Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. So at least they're starting to acknowledge rural communities again and the importance, the role they play in the national affairs of this country here. As far as national unity, it's interesting talking with councillors from other provinces. I was even speaking with a couple of councillors from Quebec, and they said they don't want Alberta to separate. And then I'm thinking in my head, you guys kind of started this in about 1976 or that. But other ones, it was interesting, even from Ontario, admitting Alberta isn't getting a fair deal. The theme of the conference was Stronger Together, and I still believe we're stronger together as a United Nation. So I'll pass it along to Councillor Idris, who was also at that conference there too.
Thank you, Your Worship. Most of the notes I had covered. A couple of things I want to add here. One thing I like about this conference is the study tours. There is a significant amount of study tours that the host community can put. For example, being in Ottawa, there was a tour that covered, the Bay Market and how they do that. Another tour covered recycling. Another tour covered transportation and in some of the things that they do around that. So there is an opportunity wherever it's hosted to learn about that municipality's work around different issues from municipal perspective. So that was a good thing. Another element of this conference is, although it's this big, huge national conference, caucuses get time to meet, to bring some priorities. So Alberta caucuses meet, BC. There are some other issues like small communities caucus. So it's interesting to go to these little caucuses and learn about different regions of the country. And they do their elections, and their candidates go to the bigger AGM for election to the national body, the FCM Board of Directors. An interesting, one of the panels that was very interesting was a pollster who did talk about what happened in Canada. Like if we were a year ago, everybody thought we were going one direction politically, nationally. We were going one direction, and then just one day in March, people woke up and things flipped the other side. What happened? There was a very interesting. If people are interested, I have the PowerPoint I can share, and then. The national chief of the Assembly of First Nation came and spoke about the First Nation in their perspective when they look at municipalities, working with municipalities, and trying to be good neighbors. There was being just an FCM that is happening after an election, a national election. There was a big optimism in the conference around the new government and some of the rhetorics that they have around working with municipalities, around these big nation-building projects that Prime Minister Carney is thinking about, and how can provinces and communities benefit from that. So I hope that optimistic feeling continues. And I think these are my notes from that. Do you want me to jump to that?
I just kind of wanted to add something on FCM. Councillor Wardrop, Councillor Idris, and myself had a chance to sit in the House of Commons, and I mean, we're in politics, so it's really interesting to see, what happens in the House of Commons that day, and all the big names were there. It's kind of, to us, they look, they're like stars or whatever because we see them on TV all the time. But that's always an interesting aspect to see that.
We attended the first question period of the new parliament.
Yeah.
And it was you watch question period and you think these people hate each other and they don't want to work with each other. But just the minute the cameras leave after the question period, they start crossing the floor and talking to each other and hugging each other, and that gives you a hope that maybe there is a hope that people are working together somehow. So
yeah, it's a good sign. Okay, do you want to talk about Alberta municipalities?
Yes, we attended the Alberta Municipalities Spring Caucus in Drumheller a couple of days ago. And although it was a one day event, it was really filled with a lot of good information for us as councillors to be able to see where things are going and also help us do our work. So there was about 6 sessions. One session, the first session was on the property taxes and the future of our communities. If you look at the trend of what has been happening in the last 20 years, where the province's contribution was versus the municipal contribution when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to programming, versus where we are now. For example, one example was recreation. What the province used to pay for recreation like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, versus what the province pays for recreation now, it tells you how much things has been downloaded to municipal responsibilities, while at the other end there isn't that much increase in resources. We deal with the property taxes as our main source of income. There was research AB Munis is doing, and when you look at again Alberta versus other provinces, what Ontario, for example, pays for recreation versus what Alberta pays for recreation. These are things that are good to have as information to help us also in working with our provincial government, but also in terms of messaging to our own citizens in our own communities. This is the amount of taxes you pay to us as city, and this is what we do with it, versus this is how much money you pay for the provincial government or to the federal government when it comes to taxes, and where does that money go. At the end of the day, and I think the mayor always says that at the end of the day, there is only one taxpayer. So how can these 3 levels of government work together to find that better balance? There was another session on the Water Act review in our region here with the water rights. That is something that we are paying attention to. Another session on police governance, and we looked at where municipalities are in terms of the requirements with the new governance systems, and our community just passed a bylaw recently. We looked at some changes at the Municipal Governance Act and the Local Authorities Act. We looked at the recall legislation. There was a big change recently with with the Municipal Governance Act that impacted that. And finally, we looked at some resources for municipal elections. It's an election season. We are all getting ready for that, whether you are a citizen who is thinking about running, or whether you are an elected official thinking about you are going to do, what are you going to do. AB Munis developed a lot of resources, and actually, thank you to our team here at Communication. All these resources are linked through our municipal election website on City of Brooks, brooks.ca. So if anybody is thinking about running or wanted to access some resources, go to brooks.ca, the election website, and all these resources are there. Thank you.
Good. I just kind of talking about property taxes, and just an interesting thing I picked out of that. Everybody kind of knows how much they pay on the property taxes to a penny, but they do not have a clue on how much provincial tax or how much GST they pay or federal tax they pay. But the key from the message on Thursday was we, again, communicating on, what we do, with the money we do locally. And I think our communications department does an excellent job in communicating to the people on, where our money goes, placing recreation, fixing potholes, and on it goes on that there too. So good. Thank you, Councillor Idris. Okay, Councillor Woodrup, we're at a policy session.
Yes. I just wanted to share something interesting, actually, at FCM. I won't overlap, but there was a session I went to on red tape reduction, and there were some really interesting, innovative ideas shared. And one was about leveraging AI to meet the needs of local citizens. So this one community used AI to deliver information to citizens after hours. So those kinds of questions that people would generally try and phone the front desk or find somebody else, or maybe Councillor Nesbitt, these people then would be able to get those questions answered through AI. So this actually they also had a GPS on the snow trucks to follow the truck routes. So even, when's my street gonna be plowed? They would, you'd be able to get that information really quickly. It resulted in 92% less calls to staff, and most of them are angry calls, which is probably nice for our frontline staff who are responding to these phone calls. Of course, the question was, how much does that cost? And it was $90,000 a year. It managed more than 40,000 inquiries. So that was pretty interesting. They had a 311 number, and it was really cool. So it's kind of interesting to see the different ways that AI is being used in municipalities. I think I'll leave that there for them. I did attend the Intercity Forum on Social Policy in Airdrie on June 5th. And a very meaningful and information-filled session, actually. Director Tiffin went with me. So if I miss anything of note, please add after. I started out talking about the some encouraging items, like Councillor just said, the commitment by the federal government, particularly for housing. Like the whole thing was about housing and affordable housing. Sorry, I should have said that first. Pardon me. The federal government has committed $25 billion to make municipalities whole. So trying to alleviate that downloading because affordable housing is such a huge issue across the country. And so in terms of infrastructure cost, recognizing that municipalities are bearing the brunt of that hopefully there'll be some more funds sent our way that way. And then hopefully the Housing Accelerator Fund will be made more effective. So I don't know what that looks like. Maybe hopefully we could reapply in the future. I'm not sure. And then there was a variety of different speakers from a variety of different municipalities. But a couple main points that I took away were, and I'll give you kind of an example of Grand Prairie, but for for affordable housing to be really effective in a community, like Edmonton saw a 33% increase in affordable housing stock with their initiatives. Lethbridge, hugely successful. But it does take a significant municipal investment of dollars. However, once you make that large financial investment, communities were saying that they, leverage 4 to 6 times that in other types of funds. So it's like, you put the upfront cost there, like Grand Prairie, for example. So I guess I'll transition to there. Grand Prairie had some really fascinating stuff. Everything from like retrofitting, like I think an old hotel or some kind of other business. They took ownership of a building, or they built a building, and then they have a third party who runs, runs the program for them. But so they have kind of these different levels of shelters, like all the way from like emergency shelters, where they have even medical staff on site, and using these kind of different housing levels as stepping stones to permanent housing. So recognizing that it's not just something that like, okay, you're going to pull somebody off the street, they're going to have a house and everything's going to be peachy after that. There's, people are building relationships in those initial meeting spaces and emergency shelters. You build those relationships and you're able to guide those individuals through the different levels of housing until then they can hopefully find a stable, permanent housing solution. So Grand Prairie, they've put in a lot of money. I believe it was $29 million in capital investments, which is a lot. However, and I'll share it maybe via email. The results are incredible, very cool. Let's see. The other ideas that I kind of came away with, and again, it kind of comes back to like if we want to make a meaningful impact, there has to be some kind of financial contribution, is that some communities have established a housing reserve, so a specific reserve for housing. Airdrie, for example, put away 1% of their total tax dollars collected for 2 years, and then we're able to, use their investments in that way. And, some of the things that we're encouraging as well is that, we've also we've taken some positive steps trying to make the process easier for developers. Tax incentives, those sorts of things, which does help. Oh yeah, and then I guess, I don't know if I wonder if I missed anything important or of note there, Director Tiffin, no. And then the other thing was, we had a brief conversation, I guess, about advocacy. We talked about Alberta municipalities, and how we could perhaps maybe solidify our message about what is really we're feeling the highest priority. And so I did actually end up seconding a motion to write a letter to Alberta Municipalities Safe and Healthy Communities Board. I don't think anyone here. To advocate for a provincial emergency shelter strategy. So, because that's where it starts, right, is the emergency shelter for people who are in need of housing, and we really want to prioritize that message in terms of the advocacy we want to see. And then the last portion of the meeting kind of had a roundtable discussion. Different municipalities got to highlight the different things that they've spearheaded in their communities that have led to positive social development. And I'll just briefly share our contribution. I submitted the creation of our inclusion coordinator position under our community development department as something that highlights our focus of diversity and belonging. And so, I mean, we all know this, but I do want to say that, we're hoping that this policy-driven board, which is very much in its infancy, but just, Brooks has done a really good job of celebrating our diversity and different cultures and languages, but now hopefully we can leverage that celebration into kind of tackling the more systemic issues that are barriers to inclusion in our community, and that's what I'm hoping to see from that committee, and we were able to share that with the others there. So that's my report on that. I love this board, and it's a wonderful group of people and municipalities who are really passionate about their citizens.
I think you wanted to be on this board, and I know you have a passion for that, and thanks for the work you do on that there. Councillor Jessica.
Well, I'm afraid I wasn't at FCM, but so I just got one little thing to report on, though. Listening to Councillor Idris talking about question session and the change in atmosphere, that made me think of when All-Star Wrestling used to come to Brooks to fight in the Centennial Arena, and it's just like the old story. When they were in the ring, they couldn't get at each other's throats fast enough, and then at the end of the night, they all jump in the same car and drive back to Calgary. So I did have the pleasure of attending the Community Foundations of Southeast Alberta community grant presentations, and they started with a couple of fund donations by Johnny Ignatius, a local rancher, with $25,000 in 1992, and then $2.4 million when he passed in 2000. And as of this spring, they've distributed about $400,000 to numerous charities and nonprofits within our region, so through these grants. And so at this particular set of presentations, Brooks Composite High School, St. Joe's Outreach, and the Toy Library got $1,800. Brooks Community Adult Learning Council got $5,000 for a smartboard replacement. Rolling Hills Ag Society got $5,000 for arena ice plant replacement. Bazzano Elks got $4,852 for street side renovations. Dutchess Public Library got $3,850 for safety enhancements. Global Villages, $3,000 for a Tell Me Your Story program. Newell Adult Education, $3,000 for literacy building blocks. And Rosemary Ag Society Farmers Market got $15,000. So, some fairly significant donations towards activities within our community.
Yeah, that's a good organization, their community foundation there too. Did you have anything, Councillor? No. Okay, I just want just a couple last things here too. There's a few of our councillors that were involved in the smoker wars over the weekend there too, whatever, and from what I understand, a successful event, and they always contribute good financial support back into the community there too. And I was also at the cadet ceremonial review there along with Councillor Idris, because Councillor Idris' daughter was involved in cadets there too, and she won an award too. So I just want to say it's always a pleasure to be at that cadets ceremonial review. Okay, to the motion. All those in favor, this is moved by Nesbitt, that the following items of correspondence be received as information. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, got a motion here on fire policies to be rescinded. I need a mover for this motion. Councillor Idris. Moved by Councillor Idris that Council rescind the following policies: P002-001A, entitled Volunteer Firefighters Insurance, P002-002B, entitled Fire Inspections, P002-003A, entitled Breathing Apparatus, P002-004A, entitled Truck and Equipment Checks, P002-005A, entitled Press Releases, P002-007A, entitled Riding on Fire Vehicles, P002-008A, entitled Summer Standby Roster, P002-001A, entitled Retirement, and P002-012A, entitled Personnel Protection. And to explain that all to us is the Manager of Administration, Romans.
Thank you through the chair to Mayor and Council. The various fire department policies that the Mayor just noted were reviewed at the June 10th Council Committee meeting. And all content within the policies is still addressed in city documentation, and a formal council policy is not required. The information is included either in an internal process, the city's quality management plan, or various standard operating procedures. Therefore, admin is recommending the policies are rescinded.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, the employee service and retirement recognition policy, need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Jessica. Moved by Councillor Jessica, that council will approve policy F002-001 entitled Employee Service and Retirement Recognition. Administration Manager Romans.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, this policy was also reviewed at the June 10th council committee meeting. Changes to the policy include providing gift cards to staff in place of gifts. HR will provide administration with a list of upcoming anniversaries each quarter. Administration will then work with the employee to determine the desired gift card and the date the card will be presented to the employee. The gift card will be given to the employee on or near their anniversary date rather than being presented at the annual staff and safety meeting. A full list of anniversaries will still be read at that meeting, and part-time employees are not required to work a minimum of 18 hours to qualify. And again, administration is recommending that this policy is approved.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. The electronic equipment policy, need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Nesbitt. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the council approve policy L001-005B entitled Electronic Equipment Policy. Manager of Administration, Romans.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, this policy was also reviewed at the June 10th council committee meeting, and it outlines the electronic equipment that is provided to council members during their term. The changes will include the city now provides iPads instead of laptops and no longer provides an option for a PDA or a cell phone, and instead just provides cell phones. Council members also do not have the option to provide their own device any longer, and the iPad and cell phone chosen for each council member is determined by IT as the policy is administered by that department. There was some discussion at committee regarding possibly having personal photos on a city phone. So as per the policy, the phones are returned to their original settings after a council term. If a council member has personal photographs on the phone, an arrangement can be made with our IT department to transfer those photos to a personal laptop or other device. And unless there are any questions, administration is recommending the policy is approved.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. This is, the next one is development permit extension request. Need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Goodenough. So the motion is moved by Councillor Goodenough that council grant a one-year extension for development permit 24D-44 commencing June 16th, 2025 and expiring June 15th, 2026. Development Officer Bailey Boulay.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, on June 17th, 2024, the city approved a development permit 24D44 for a multiple unit residential development in the form of attached housing at 175 and 207 Pleasant Park Road. This permit is going to expire on June 18th, 2025, unless it's granted an extension by council. The lots are zone direct control, and therefore all development permit applications, including extension requests in the zoning district, have to be referred to council to act as the development authority for the decision. So therefore, the recommendation is that council grant a one-year extension for development permit 24D44, commencing June 16th, 2025 and expiring June 15th, 2026. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Goodenough.
Sorry, I did miss council committee, so I'm not sure if this was brought up then. Okay, wasn't? Okay. So I do have a couple questions. I noticed in the map of the subject properties, that in their drawing, for the development, there was no back alleys placed in this. And I remember last time that this came to council, there was a conversation of possibly adding a back alley that would connect from the property lines there for where the back alley is on those one houses, that would then connect to Pleasant Park. And my reason for that is that would give access for more parking to units 23 to 36. That would give them more, that would give them parking for behind their place. The second reason was considering the parking lot size and maybe
Can I
sorry.
just,
Yep.
I think you're referring probably to the next motion with the multifamily
Oh,
development.
maybe I am.
There. Yeah, you are, yeah.
Which one are we on?
Yeah, no.
No.
This is about the extension on
No, that's this one.
the multifamily residential development. Is that the same one? Okay.
Same one, yep.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Idris, yeah.
I think there are two motions.
There's two
One
motions.
is
There's
just
a
for
motion that comes up after
One
this
is
one,
just
too.
for
Uh-oh.
extension,
Yes.
and then the other one will be the actual building permit
Yeah.
and the details.
And that's where you can ask the question on that. You can ask the question on this one if you want.
No,
They're
that's
keeping-
that's the same one.
So this is, yeah, for this property and
Yeah.
specifically, there's only one motion here, and
Yeah.
it's to extend the permit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
right, to extend the permit, okay.
so this is just a question as to, was that ever considered? Reason being, I think that going back to the fire idea, how does the fire truck get to that property behind there if that parking lot is full? That was my concern in the last time we approved this, so I'm just curious where we are on that.
Through the chair to Councillor Goodenough, the plans were approved by council. Development permit was approved with the existing site layout, so that back alley was never added. So there was never a back alley added on there. Their fire suppression, if there were a fire, they would essentially just have to find a way. And that would all come out as well during the building permit, because they have to meet the Fire Safety Act as well.
Right, so if it goes back to now the building permit side of things, which we'll look at down the road, is that a consideration to look at that time, or is this the final, final draft?
Yeah, so this would be, after the development permit is, if it's extended, when they're applying for their building permit, prior to them obtaining that permit, is that they would have to submit to us a fire safety plan, and that would have to be approved by our fire department, and that's where they would determine whether or not there would be a need for additional access for those purposes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, to the motion then. Okay, moved by Councillor Goodenough. The council grant a one-year extension for development permit 24D 44 commencing June 16th, 2025 and expiring June 15th, 2026. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, this is the amendment to the sale agreement. Need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Jeska. Moved by Councillor Jeska, the council amend the sale agreement for 1716 2nd Avenue East and 1720 2nd Avenue East to adjust the closing date to July 31st, 2025. Director of Planning and Community Development, Tiffin.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to council, on February 18th, council accepted the offer to purchase 1716 and 1720 2nd Avenue East. And then on May 20th, council agreed to extend the closing date until June 30th on that sale agreement. Since then, the developers' plans have since changed. They're now asking for an additional extension to meet the conditions within the sale agreement. So council at this time has two options. You can amend the sale agreement to adjust the closing date to a mutually agreed upon date, or you can allow the sale agreement to keep a closing date of June 30th, and potentially that would terminate the sale. The financial implications are that if the sale goes through, it's obviously a land sale, and it represents potential future property taxes. However, terminating the sale agreement would mean potentially that the parcels could be listed again and the city could receive additional offers on this multifamily lots. So staff's recommendation right now is that council amend the sale agreement for 1716 and 1720 2nd Avenue to adjust the closing date to July 31st, 2025 as per the purchaser's request.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, to the motion then, all those in favor? Carried. Declaration of surplus land, need a mover for this motion here. Somebody who want to make, okay, Councillor Idris, moved by Councillor Idris that council formally declare Block B Plan 1794 JK as surplus so that it may be available for sale. Director of Planning and Community Development, Tiffin.
Thank you. Through the chair to council, an inquiry was received about a 5.8 acre parcel of undeveloped, unserviced land, which is owned by the city located in the southeast sector. The legal address is known as Block B, Plan 1794JK, and a map of the subject properties attached. So according to our southeast sector area structure plan, the proposed future use of that land is to be residential with a number of new roads and cul-de-sacs to be developed. The land is not currently listed for sale, it has not been declared surplus, and appraisal has not been completed. And the land is currently assessed at $800 and has historically only ever been used as grazing lands by a local property owner. Before proceeding with a declaration of surplus, council should consider whether or not selling this parcel is in line with your greater priorities, and if selling the land is good for the municipality as a whole. We do this by considering a number of guiding principles, such as the presence of road allowances or road right-of-ways, the feasibility of land for development for affordable housing, the feasibility and likelihood that the land would be serviced and developed by the city and then further sold, the potential current and future needs, such as city facilities, athletic fields, school sites, parks areas, recreation areas, public utilities, or other council priorities. So this land is municipally owned, it's vacant, and it's underutilized. Administration has determined that as this parcel is not required for municipal purposes, it may be better utilized through alternative ownership, which would maximize the overall benefit to the municipality as a whole if it were developed as housing. So at this time, staff is recommending that council formally declare the land as surplus so that it may be available for sale.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Referring to terms of reference from joint services and Brooks Newell Regional Economic Development, need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Jessica. That council approve in principle the proposed terms of reference for the Intermunicipal Affairs Committee, IAC, and the establishment of an interprovincial agreement for Brooks Newell Region Economic Development, BN Red Services. Interim CEO, Lagore.
Through the chair to mayor and council, the Joint Services Committee recommended to administration that they look at redrafting the terms of reference for the committee. The CAOs have been working on that, and we just want to bring this forward to all the councils to get support in principle for where we're going. What we're now proposing is that we separate the Joint Services Committee from Economic Development. And the Joint Services Committee would be renamed and would be called an Intermunicipal Affairs Committee. The Economic Development may or may not have a committee. It could be done by agreement and report to the Intermunicipal Affairs Committee either on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending upon how often the meetings are handled. There's no real decision point at this point. We're just saying we want the CAOs to continue down this path and bring back a recommendation to the various councils supporting. And you will be presented with more than one option. There will be a slight increase in costs to the city of Brooks if we did proceed with what is outlined here as your final decision, because we're recommending that 1% of the LGFF be paid by each municipality. Currently, the only two communities that are paying are Newell County and the city of Brooks, and we're suggesting that the three other municipalities should be paying as well. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, we got a couple bylaws coming up here. First of all, bylaw 2502, Chief Administrative Officer bylaw. I need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Nesbitt. Moved by Nesbitt that bylaw number 2502 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish the position of a Chief Administrative Officer be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, need a mover for this motion here, that bylaw number 2502 be read a second time. Mover for that motion, Councillor Juska. Manager of Administration, Romans.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. The CAO bylaw has been discussed a few times at past council committee meetings, the most recent one being June 10th. No additional changes were suggested from that meeting, and I will just review the proposed changes quickly. We have updated the definition of CAO, updated any reference to the budget process with the city's current practice, removing the requirement that an expense or a service relating to operations of the city must be included in the current approved budget to be retained or paid. The limit of such an expense remains at $50,000 and must be reported to council in quarterly variance reports. Authorizing the CAO to approve over expenditures in the operating and capital budgets, which will also be reported to council during quarterly variance reports. Authorizing the CAO to approve accounts receivable write-offs up to $500 per individual account. This is currently in a policy which, once this bylaw is approved, I will be bringing forward that policy to be rescinded. And these also must be included in the quarterly variance reports. And also removing the requirement for council to approve any organizational chart changes, which will now be presented to council for information. And administration is recommending that council provide 3 readings and adopt the bylaw.
Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, need a mover for this motion that bylaw 2502 be given 3 readings at this meeting. Mover for that motion, Councillor Goodenough. Okay, this has to be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, need a mover for this motion here, that bylaw 2502 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish the position of Chief Administrative Officer be read a 3rd time and adopted. Mover for that motion, Councillor Juska. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to bylaw 2519, amendment to the land use bylaw 1412. Need a mover for this motion here. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt, that bylaw 2519 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to amend bylaw number 1412 being the land use bylaw be introduced and read first time. Did we talk about it after the first one or after the second reading? No.
Questions after second?
After the second reading, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so, okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, need a mover for this motion that a public, just wait, yeah. Yeah, okay, go ahead there, yeah. Gavin, go ahead, I think you can talk now.
Through the chair to mayor and council, bylaw 2519 proposes to redesignate a portion of the southeast quarter of 4, township 19, range 14, west of the 4, from direct control to commercial general and public recreation and open space. As per the requirements of the Municipal Government Act, a public hearing must be held prior to council's decision on the bylaw to rezone land. This property is 2.73 acres of direct control designated property. It is located at the south end of the property along Castles Road East. Castles Place East is a commercially oriented area of development that lies directly to the east across Sutherland Drive East. The lot is located within the northeast sector area structure plan. Land is identified on map 5 which is the land use concept, and it is designated as Highway Special Policy Area. This designation allows for a mix of commercial and residential. The applicant is also required to provide an outline plan for this parcel and has provided that in an attached drawing. Further details will be provided on the residential portions when they come forward. So right now it is just labels on the map. That detail will come forward at a later date. The zoning request is therefore in alignment with the area structure plan. The decision on the property to rezone should be evaluated based on the suitability of land for commercial and recreational purposes. Financial implications are that there are none, and within your strategic plan, this change loosely connects to Council's focus on economic growth, investment attraction, as well as future developments. Recommendation this evening that Council completes first reading and sets July 7th, 2025 for the public hearing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh, okay. For the next one there, or this one?
Either one.
Okay, yeah, okay. To the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, and then we moved by Councillor Prentice that the public hearing be held on July 7th, 2025 at 5 p.m. to gather public input regarding bylaw 2519. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Now, bylaw 2520, regional emergency management bylaw. Need a mover for this motion here. Councillor Idris. Moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw 2520 being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to establish a regional emergency advisory committee, agency and planning and coordinating group that includes the County of Newell, the Town of Bazzano, the Village of Dutchess, the Village of Rosemary, and the City of Brooks be introduced and read a first time. Councillor Romans, not yet. Yeah, getting ahead of myself here too. Manager of Administration, Romans.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. Council recently approved the city joining the Newell Regional Emergency Partnership, which includes the municipalities noted. So a bylaw must be passed by all of the partner municipalities, and at this time it's being recommended that the bylaw be introduced for first reading only and complete second and third reading after each council has approved a motion for first reading and no concerns or objectives have been raised. The formal execution of the agreement would also occur after third reading of the bylaw by each of the partner municipalities. Therefore, at this time, administration is recommending that council provide first reading to the bylaw.
Okay, to the motion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. Need a mover to move into closed session, moved by Councillor Woodruff. That council close the meeting to the public agenda for agenda item 11A, new agreement with local organizations as per section 16 FOIP at 5:51 p.m. And if there were questions from the media, they can give me a call probably tomorrow there. Okay, to the motion that we move into closed session. All those in favor? Carry. Thank you, everyone.